Weeks away from the one-year anniversary of the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust, without question. On October 7th, which would have never happened if I was president, by the way, I have to always preface it by saying it would have never, ever happened. Innocent men, women, children, and babies were tortured, maimed, kidnapped, and it was an amazing sight, especially if you were able to see, and you don't want to necessarily see it, some of the tapes and film that was made of the atrocity.
Bro said it was amazing. Bro said October 7th was amazing.
You have to take it that it is a wake-up call. Get smart. Instead, even here in America, Jewish citizens have been forced to endure the worst outbreak of anti-Semitism in many generations. And so many people shockingly even deny the attack took place. This is a new thing. I saw it recently where they're interviewing people. They said, well, we don't know if there was an attack. I don't know. It's just so terrible. And, you know, there were people I read many times.
Bro, I don't think there's a single person who has said October 7th didn't happen. Either people say it happened and it was good, or they say it happened and it was bad. I don't think there's a single person that's like, October 7th never happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's happening right now. I never thought you'd ever see a thing like this ever happen. It's beyond belief. You know, 15 years ago, Israel was the strongest lobby, if you want to use the word lobby, had the strongest representation of people like this. These are great people, Miriam.
People like this.
But the strongest there was, if you said something about a Jewish person or something about Israel that was bad, you were out of politics, unless your name was Ted Cruz. He could get through. I think Ted could get through, but maybe not. Maybe even Ted. But it's true. You said something about Israel that was bad. It was like, today, you have
What's crazy is like, what he's saying is not even wrong, but because he's pro-Israel, he can just say it. You know what I mean?
Don't worry about it, okay? We're wonderful.
Like right there, he's like, oh, back in the day, you can't
there are
say
those
nothing
that
about
say
Israel.
It's very much like a long time ago when you could say anything, but all across our land, you've
also, why did he call Ted Cruz an anti-Semite?
Harassed and attacked and by anti-Semites and sympathizers. I can't believe what we've been witnessing over the last year. Actually, I've watched it in great detail. I've watched it, and I've watched it take place. It's hard to believe. Yet, despite presiding over this explosion of anti-Semitism, Kamala Harris has done absolutely nothing. She has not lifted a single finger to protect you or to protect your children or to even protect you with words. I'm here today to tell the Jewish American community that this ugly tide of anti-Semitic pro-Hamas,
he's gonna get
bigotry,
he's probably gonna drop in Jewish American support after this, by the way, which makes this so funny. American Jews who care about Israel predominantly have already made up their minds and have been historically Republican Party voters anyway. So I don't think he's gonna win a single damn American Jewish vote beyond that point.
It will be a bright new day for the Jewish community in America. No longer will you have to walk the streets in fear. You're walking the streets in fear. Can you believe it? Young college students are afraid to go to college. It's not something that anybody thought they would ever hear or see. No longer will you be threatened on your college campuses. No longer will you be against in college admissions. And no longer will your own government import jihadists from
Trump
places
plus 10 among Jewish voters in New York per Siena poll? No.
They want Jew haters from overseas, and they let them come in and resettle in your communities right here at home, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. My promise to Jewish Americans is this: with your vote, I will be your defender, your protector, and I will be the best friend Jewish Americans have ever had in the White House. You know that.
He had a guy who wore a Vitesse Rend. Yeah, Jewish voters favor Kamala Harris over Donald Trump 68 to 25%. But also, he had a guy who literally, not only did he defend Nazis who said Jews will not replace us by calling them very fine people, he literally had a dude who was wearing his father's Hungarian Hitler Division brand.
Crazy. You have to do this. You have to do that. You don't know what I had to put up with. She was like the calming influence. I said, Sheldon, I can't do that. It's too much. He said, no. And every time I got something, he'd immediately start with something else, right? He'd get something, always fighting for Israel and the Jewish people. But, I had such great respect for him.
Oh yeah,
True,
he
though, she
also
had to
had dinner.
sometimes
He had dinner with Kanye West and Nicholas
celebrate.
Fuentes,
Oh, no, we have to
two admirers of Adolf
do
Hitler.
Golan
Dog.
Heights. How about Golan Heights? They've been trying to get it for 72 years. I got it done in about 15 minutes, okay? So even Sheldon couldn't believe that one, I'll tell you. Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one. He said, we just got Golan Heights. They didn't even ask for it. I actually gave you that one. You didn't ask for it, but I thought it was important. Ground zero for the outbreak of the anti-Jewish hate under Kamala Harris has been our college campuses. At UCLA a few months ago, Marxist thugs dressed up like and created, quote, Jew exclusion zones, blocking Jewish students from entering parts of the campus. Can you imagine that? A week after the October 7th attack on
So
Israel,
how does the media
anti-Semites
that
at
hates
Miami
Donald Trump
University in Ohio
but loves
said
defending
Jewish
Israel
students
cover
spam
this?
email that
Do
said,
they just
quote,
go? He made some very
best
good points on
Jew
this,
is a
very
dead
strong
Jew,
points on the
end of quote.
issue of anti-Semitism. Is
Stuff
that what they're
that's
going to
not
say?
even thinkable. And the colleges do nothing about it, too. Most of them. At Baruch College, a mob of supporters targeted a group of innocent Jewish freshmen at a welcoming dinner, shouted slurs and mocked them for the
Is there
death
any
of
evidence for the
Jewish
Jew exclusion
hostages
zones?
in
No,
Israel.
there's none.
At
It
Princeton,
was,
activists
but
displayed the
the media did
Hezbollah
cover it as
flag
though it was real.
proudly. At Columbia, you watched that along with everybody else. It was terrible. They took control of the school buildings, these magnificent buildings. They beat the hell out of them, by the way. And the campus became so dangerous for Jewish students at the university, rabbi told them, please go home, go home. A Yale professor called October 7th an extraordinary day. It was a great day, he said. A Cornell professor said that these heinous attacks were, quote, exhilarating and energizing to everyone. Kamala Harris said that the radical demonstrators on college campuses were, quote,
Why is
human
Israel not
emotion.
allowed to defend itself? Honest question. Great question. International law. That's it. You can't be a regional power like that and quote unquote defend yourself legally under international law against a group of people that you are the belligerent occupier of. So it's technically not defense. You can say anything is defense, but it's not defense
terrorists.
at all.
They're pouring in at levels we've never seen before. And she was the border czar. She now says she wasn't, but she was still in charge of the border. She's the one that did it. And I will tell you, the message that she gave is wrong. It's dangerous and it's unbefitting a candidate for the president of the United States. So think of it. Let's assume 350 million. We're down to 2. I told our great First Lady the other day, well, we're down to 2, and now we're leading in the polls by, I think, a lot. I'm calling on Kamala Harris to officially disavow the support of all sympathizers, anti-Semites, Israel haters on college campuses and everywhere else.
The saddest part about this is that Kamala Harris will say that and has said that. Like, she will be like, she'll totally get into
So I'm
she'll totally
calling on
cave
her
the right-wing framing on this and be like,
do that.
Donald Trump is right.
Disavow.
I disavow all of the lovers.
She's not going to do it. She's going to talk about nothing, talk about the weather. And sadly, and I have to say this, and it hurts me to say it, you're going to still vote for Democrats, and it doesn't make sense. I say all the time that any Jewish person that votes for her, especially now, her or the Democrat Party, should have their head examined. It's true. And, I just find it so hard to believe. And part of it is habit, I guess. And respectfully, with all that I've done, I'll maybe go over it quickly, but Miriam did it better than I could, all the different things with Golan, with all of the things that we did. And really, the one thing we didn't mention is I terminated the Iran nuclear deal. And that is, I think, the biggest of them all. But the problem is we could have had a deal, any deal we wanted. Michael knows that better than anybody. But Biden and
I think
Harris,
what's very funny about this
when you
is
say
that, like, one,
who's
he's
Harris?
just simply complaining about, like,
have to
Jews
say
not voting
Kamala.
for him, which is
Nobody
hilarious.
knows who the hell Harris
But
is.
also,
That's the
too,
last name.
he thinks the
Nobody
only
knows.
thing
Isn't
that
it weird?
works in terms of, like,
How's Harris
motivating
doing?
the
Who the hell
Jewish
is Harris?
American
How's
vote
Kamala
is just,
doing?
like,
Oh,
Israel.
isn't it
And that's
weird?
just
Kamala
wrong.
sort of thing, like
But
it's
because the media
Kamala.
constantly reiterates this point, as though, like,
You
all
really,
Jews
when you think
universally
about it,
think that, like,
it's
Israel is the
amazing.
only thing that fucking matters, both parties, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, operate under this totally false binary, this false notion that like Jews are a monolithic voting bloc that only cares about Israel. So that's the reason why the only thing he's saying to this American Jewish Conference is basically, I did Israel for you. Come on, I did Israel for you. It's like, dog, what do you mean you did Israel for them? They're Jews in America. Yeah, there are definitely like, you know, Miriam Adelson in the room cares about that, and the 8 other people that are clapping care about that. But most American Jews are not going to be like, oh, that's my number one thing. The anti-Semitism stuff is probably significantly better as a line of attack, both against Kamala Harris and also like for Donald Trump to be like, oh, anti-Semitism is like rising in America and Kamala Harris is not doing anything about it. However, every American Jew remembers what your supporters were saying and doing. So that is going to be very hard for a lot of people to just like overlook.
Violence, harassment, or threats against Jewish students, the schools will be held accountable for of the civil rights law. Very important.
Real Zionists, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like old, very wealthy Jewish mega donors to the Republican Party. That's the only people he knows. So he thinks like, oh yeah, all Jews like this, right? Come on, Israel, 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 Israel.
On their way to synagogue in Los Angeles just recently, beaten on their way. Jewish American businesses have been vandalized, yet once again, the Harris-Biden administration has done absolutely nothing about it, doesn't even comment. Here in Washington, radical supporters tore down the American flag in front of Union Station, set it on fire, and hoisted the Palestinian flag, while police officers and they were spray painting at police officers and at the beautiful monuments surrounding.
Have you seen the Daily Beast report that a prominent Jewish family was behind the financial support of the pro-Palestinian protests on university campuses? I have not.
This is a stone. It's limestone.
I did not see that, but it's not surprising to me.
Spray paint, limestone. You'll see it in 100 years. They can take it off, but they can't really take it off. You'll see everything that they said in 100 years. It's a very porous stone. And what they've done is unbelievable. But I don't see them getting long sentences in prison like happened to other people. I don't see them even being approached or attacked in any way. They allow them to do it. But watch those limestones. I looked at them the other day, and that stone just sucks up that paint. It goes deep. You're going to see it in 100 years from now. Kamala Harris, let them go. She said, let them go. I will end this political and harassment once and for all. You know, when I was president, we had a moment where Washington was, in a sense, being attacked. They were trying to pull down statues, and I pulled out about an 1897 statute.
He shouldn't remind.
It said that anybody touching, ripping.
He shouldn't remind Americans the last time he defended people who were protesting a statue being taken down. You know, when they were saying Jews will not replace us at Charlottesville.
You serve 3 days. It's 10 years, and you serve all 10 years. You couldn't get a thing like that passed today, I don't think. What do you think, Ted? Not too easily. If you got 2 days, it would be a miracle. No, it's 10 years. It was so old. I lifted up this. It was old and dusty, but it read beautifully. And I invoked it, and I had a speech. I said, here's the story. Anybody touching a statue, and it ended when they had Abraham Lincoln ready to be pulled over. You remember that? They said, Abraham Lincoln, now we're hitting Lincoln. And I read it, and I told people that anybody from this moment on that pulls down anything or even tries to pull down a statue, you go into jail for 10 years. And it was an amazing sight, Miriam. Everybody just dropped the ropes.
It's so funny that he keeps calling out Miriam Adelson by name.
They started walking out of town.
How many people are in that room?
Thousands of asses from the back. And it was a beautiful sight. It was a beautiful sight. It was a beautiful sight.
This is a little bit more.
They just started walking, and that was the last of the problem we had. Remember the big problems we were having? They actually wanted to rip down Thomas Jefferson Memorial. They didn't like Jefferson. They didn't like Washington.
Dude, what are you talking about, dude? Like, these are all things, like, dude, come on. Like, I already brought this up, but like, obviously American Jews don't only care about Israel and don't care about Israel all that much, with the exception of like the freaks like Miriam Adelson, right? But beyond that, I feel like when talking about like talking to American Jews, this is your opportunity to win over the American Jewish vote, okay? You're talking about Thomas Jefferson. Like, who gives it, dude? What are you talking about?
Before, but open to, she's supported unlimited migration from hotbeds into the United States, especially some of the hotbeds that most hate Israel. Under Border Czar Harris, armies of foreign sympathizers now march brazenly through our cities. They're literally marching in our cities, and they.
I'm a single-issue voter, and my issue is statute preservation.
Very vicious parts of the world, and they do not like Jewish people, and they do not like Israel, and they've let that be known, and we are not going to tolerate
That's awesome.
it. I will not let what happened to Paris, what happened to London.
That's amazing. He's saying anti-Semitism is on the rise, also because of migrants.
Happen here in America. It's not going to happen. We will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers and supporters from our midst. We will get them out of our country. I will ban
this man's brain is so broken, dude.
Infested areas like the Strip, and we will seal our border and bring back the travel ban. You remember the famous travel ban? We didn't take people from certain
Who do you
areas
think
of
has
the
a,
world because I didn't
you know, who do you think has a firm opinion on Jewish people, the Haitian migrants that are living in Springfield, Ohio, or the literal neo-Nazi movement that is marching against them? I wonder who out of those two groups openly and actively hates Jews. Like, we're not even talking about Israel. We're just straight up talking about Jews, okay? I wonder who actually is increasing anti-Semitism in America. The newcomer migrants or the neo-Nazis that want to purge them and also claim Jews are bringing them into the United States of America.
We will have a temporary 10% cap on credit card interest rates because they're paying 20 and 25% and they're getting decimated. So it'll be a temporary 10% cap. But look, this is the most important election in the history of the United States, and it's also the most important election in the history of Israel. The United States election is the most important election in the history of Israel, actually, if you think about it. How crazy does that sound? But it's true. With all I have done for Israel, I received only 24%.
I love listening to like pro-Israel people yap because they're just so transparent. They're so radically honest.
That's the story of my life.
They're so radically honest.
Think of it. But I understood that because I wasn't really tested. I wasn't a politician. And I won, but I understood that. And then I became president and was the best president ever for the people of Israel and for Jewish people, the best president ever. And
wait, Mary Miller is there?
I did more for them than any president has, and probably any president can do or will do other than the current.
Mary Miller is at the event. It's got to be a different one,
We're
right?
still going to know if we win a few elections, we're still going to be losing unless we win the hearts and minds of our children. This is the battle. Hitler was right on one thing. He said, whoever has the youth has the future. Our children are being propagandized.
Bro, what the fuck? He brought the Hitler lady? That's gotta be like a flex, right? Like he's just like, listen, these are my favorite. Here are some of my favorite anti-Semites.
But they would have had
Mark Robinson.
Every single prize ever devised by man. I did it. Nobody said a thing, and that's okay. I do the right thing, and I was helped a lot by Jared and a lot of other people that really understood what was going on. But I recognized the capital of Israel and opened the embassy in Jerusalem and got it built. Not just had it there, you know, the generals came in.
I'm new to the political commentary sphere. Is it bad to have the Hitler lady at the combating anti-Semitism event? It doesn't matter. Do you want to know why it doesn't matter? Because as long as someone is a Zionist, it doesn't matter if they love Hitler, if they openly support Hitler, if they adore Hitler. Okay? I cannot be more honest about this with you, okay? The American media, because it's no, I know you're making a joke, by the way. Obviously, you're making a joke, but I'm being serious, okay? I will give you an example. CNN, Van Jones, all these losers constantly talk about anti-Semitism on college campuses in an effort to on a lot of these movements that college students participated in, many of them led and organized by Jewish students, Jewish anti-Zionist students. They just cry about how anti-Semitic those students are for saying Israel is mean and bad and doing, right? Which is true. Van Jones literally stood on the pro-Israel rally stage and spoke alongside like former and current American Republicans, American Democrats, and Pastor John Hagee, who said Hitler was a Jew, and it's good that the Holocaust happened because that way Israel was formed. Okay? Like, these guys do not give a about anti-Semitism. I cannot stress this enough. As a matter of fact, they literally also participate in anti-Semitism when they routinely state that all American Jews and all Jews around the world only care about Israel. There's nothing else, just Israel, nothing else. You cannot shake them from this position, and that everything that Israel does is done at the behest of the global Jewish population. That is inherently anti-Semitic. That's literally what Nazis say. Okay? But when someone is pro-Israel and saying that, it doesn't fucking matter if they're a Nazi or not.
You would still be talking about your $2 billion building, Ted. That building would be under talk for about 5 more years, and then they'd spend $5 billion and it would look like hell. This building is better. You'll never do better. Someday they'll rip it down and do some monster. But I was very proud we got it built. And most importantly of all, in my opinion, because I asked, what's the best? Golan Heights, is it? Is it Jerusalem, the capital, moving the embassy and all of that? What is the best? What's the best? Is it the Abraham Accords? And some friends of mine that are very smart, no, not even close. The best thing you ever did for Israel is you terminated the Iran nuclear deal, which was the worst deal ever made for Israel or for any country. That was the best. That's true. That was more important. Remember, that was more important than any of the other things, of the many other things that we did. The problem is that Harris, Kamala, and Biden did absolutely nothing with it.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but like, he has more. Hassan, your Muslim opinion never matters. Aw, that's nice, man. That's funny to say to a political commentator on the left with 33,000 live viewers right now, but, you know, yeah, dude, as a Muslim, you're right. My opinion doesn't matter. Does it make you sad? Does it make you sad that so many people are watching? Oh.
Afghanistan in such a way, not the leaving, because we would have left before them, but we were leaving.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I think it was the lowest day, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
What's the deal with Iran nuclear deal? Iran denuclearization agreement, which was probably one of the most pivotal foreign policy accomplishments of the Obama administration, was a step towards normalizing American relations with Iran. And obviously Israel hated that and did not want that to happen. It's one of the major reasons, beyond the fact that Obama is also a black Kenyan Muslim man, that caused a lot of people to hate Obama and call him a Jew hater.
It's Israel, because you can make a big difference in the vote.
Now,
you're going to be a big factor in the vote. I will say places like Miami and different places were great. I went from 25,
wait, hold on. Let's just hear this and I'll get back to it.
And based on what I did and based on my love of the same love that you have, I should be at 100. I should be at 100.
Oh, that's the thing. He's talking about Jewish people again. Jewish
But
vote.
let me give you the bad news. A poll, I just told you how good the polls are, but we need every vote we can get. The current polling has me with Jewish citizens, Jewish people that's supposed to love Israel. After having done all of that, having been the best president.
He literally is like, I've done it so much. I've done so much for you. Come on, Jews. Why won't you vote for me? I'm doing the thing you want.
You got 60% voting for somebody that hates Israel. And I say it's going to happen. It's only because of the Democrat hold or curse on you. You can't let this happen. 40% is not acceptable because we have an election to win. So after all of this, I went from 29 to 40%. And people that are smart said to me, friend of mine, Jewish, friend of mine loves Israel, loves everything about your religion and about your country, your place. He said, I can't believe it's happening. It's sad. And he started to cry, actually. He started to cry. With all of this, and he's a tough cookie. I don't think he cried since he was a little tiny baby. Maybe then I don't think he cried. I don't think he cried then, Miriam. But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right, but you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger, and the United States hasn't been treated right. So
Yeah.
if I don't...
Yeah, the most dangerous position for a multi-billionaire like Miriam Adelson to be in is pro-Israel. What planet are we living on, dude?
The bad things happened and some good things.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Too.
In the United States of America, one of the scariest things you can do openly is declare your loyalty to the state of Israel as a person in proximity to power, or a person that is like very wealthy with weapons
who in particular
contracts.
Is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him?
Love that one.
I saw him the other day. He was dressed in one of their robes. No, that'll be next. No, Chuck Schumer is all the way. I don't know what the hell happened to him. If you support him, you're crazy. I have never seen his change may be bigger than Kamala on fracking in Pennsylvania.
Dog,
okay?
Chuck Schumer literally invited Benjamin Netanyahu to speak in front of Congress alongside the
Israel, in my
Republicans.
opinion, within a period of 2 to 3 years, will cease to exist.
Baby.
It's going to be wiped out. That's what's going to happen. It's a tough thing to say, but what difference does it make from my standpoint? I have to tell you the truth, and maybe you'll be energized, because there's no way that I should be getting 40% of the vote. I'm the one that's protecting you. These are the people that are going to destroy you, and you have 60% of the Jewish people essentially voting for them. If I do win, Israel will be safe and secure, and we will stop the toxic poison of anti-Semitism from spreading all over America and all over the world. We'll get it stopped. But if I don't win, I believe Israel will be eradicated, and you can't let that happen, and I don't think you will let that happen. So you have to, Rabbi, you have to get everybody together, and you have to get them to vote, because it's craziness to say I'm at 40%. And when I heard that number today, it just came out today. When I heard that number today, I think it was insulting to our country. It was insulting to Israel. You know, it's very interesting. They did a poll in Israel. I'm like at 99% favorable. I could run for, right now, I could run for any office in Israel.
He's right.
In Israel, they love me.
He's not wrong.
Here, not so much. But they do love me in Israel. Miriam, I'm at 99%. Everybody loves me. I could run for prime minister. Would you like me as your prime minister? But I have to learn your language. That's a tough language to learn. I have to learn it in about 3 months. I have to learn it very quickly. But no, I'm most popular person in Israel. But here it doesn't translate. It's a strange thing. So we have to save Israel. Look, you're here for a reason. We have to save Israel. This is no longer games. This
is bad for his Nazi base. Man, his Nazi base don't give a... They're doing harm reduction. They're like, yeah, sure. Israel's a lot of Muslims, so that's cool.
Israel will be wiped off the face of the earth if I don't win. And that's a big statement. That's a horrible statement to make. And it's just the way I feel. And a lot of people in this room agree with me. Because look at what's happened in the last 2 years. I have never seen anything like it, where something has gone so down so fast, where even Jews are protesting in these groups. They're Jewish people. People wearing yarmulkes are in these groups that are protesting with 100,000 people. So they have to change their way, because with your vote, you can reject anti-Semitism in our schools, in our communities, in our foreign policy, and in our immigration system. But all of that starts by rejecting Kamala Harris at the ballot box. She is anti-Israel, and she is anti-Jewish, and you got to get smart to it. And with that, I have great love and great respect for so many of the people in the room. I have so many friends in this room. I fought so hard for you. But it's time that you fight the real fight. And the real fight is to save Israel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That's the real fight. That's the only fight that matters. So the point I wanted to make, that's there she is, Miriam Adelson. So one thing that is actually pretty interesting is that Trump did actually do a lot for Israel obviously didn't do for American Jews. And actually the stuff that he did for American Jews was just objectively awful, as is the case for every other subsect of American society. But specifically in terms of like rising anti-Semitism in the country, he played a big role in that. Obviously, the synagogue shooting happened under his watch. One of his supporters who outflanked him later down the line turned around and shot up a synagogue while channeling his arguments, saying that Jews are doing unrestricted immigration and Jews are responsible for like the caravans. But beyond that, one thing that is actually really interesting is he has done a lot of things for Israel specifically. Trump is oftentimes policy free. He doesn't have a lot to point to in terms of like his policy accomplishments. He also doesn't really have any interest in, talking about policy in general. But one thing I have noticed as a massive Trump stan who, watches all of his speeches is that this conversation that he had actually had a lot of policy. Problem is that policy wasn't for American people. It wasn't for American Jews. It was just simply for Israel, the Abraham Accords, casting aside the Iran denuclearization agreement, okay, adding additional sanctions to Iran, the fact that he moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, recognizing Jerusalem as like the Israeli capital, giving Israel Golan Heights. All of these things are actually like direct policy accomplishments, but for Israel. And what's really